Okay, so we're going to get into the second part of this lesson, and we're kind of going to go over the clipping mask really, really quickly again, um, just to kind of glaze over it. But we really want to talk about how to create a text wrap and how to manipulate shapes with some different transformation options that you probably haven't seen yet. So let's start off with, um, well, basically we're going to recreate this image here with a different, or this layout, I should say, with a different image and some sample text. So let's start with the big giant triangle in the middle that we can clearly see. I'm going to go to my shape tool here. I'm going to hold the shift key and create our triangle. And I'm going to go to edit, transform. I'm going to flip that vertically so I can have the upside down triangle here. And the next, I'm going to leave that there for a second, and I'm going to create two more shapes. I'm going to go to our rectangle tool. If you look at these shapes here, these shapes are just rectangles that have been skewed. So I'm going to show you how to do that real quick. I'm going to create a rectangle that's about 2/3 the size of or the length of the triangle. And I'm going to go edit, transform, skew. And I'm going to match this rectangle, a skewed rectangle, so it's parallel with the side of the triangle. Now if you noticed, when I applied that skew transformation, it gave me 8 different anchors. These little points here, these are called anchor points. And when you want to preserve the flat surfaces on the opposite ends, you use the center anchor, and it'll preserve that. If you mess with the corner anchors, you'll get this weird kind of diagonal thing, and you don't want that. You want to keep it straight across to match the the same look as this layout. And a real easy way to create the other, hold on one second, the other rectangle, we could just start over from scratch, but we could just hit Command J. I'm going to duplicate this layer. I'm going to go back to transform, and I'm going to go flip horizontal. And I'm going to do Command T to make it a little bit smaller, because this one's a little bit smaller. And it's a little bit further down here. So now I've got my shapes that match the shapes from the sample layout. There's also a shape right through the middle of this, but we'll get that. We'll get to these two shapes towards the end. I'm going to get my image, so I'm going to go back to the internet, and I'm going to get my image. I know we always use Kobe. Let's use a different picture of Kobe. Let's do that. Let's go back to number 8 Kobe. Vintage Kobe. I'm going to drag that in, and I'm going to use that as my clipping mask, which means I'm going to make sure that in the layer palette down here, that my image is right above the triangle in which I want to apply the clipping mask to. I'm going to apply the clipping mask to the layer, to the text, to the image layer, and I will get my clipping mask here. Make it a little bit smaller so you can see more of the image, but yeah. Now, here's the cool part, the new part, the whole point of this lesson, the text wrap. Now the text wrap is just like the clipping mask, except instead of cropping an image into a shape, you're going to crop the text into a shape. So I'm going to select the image that I want to apply the text wrap to, or the layer, I should say, and that layer is going to be this particular shape. And I'm going to click on this black arrow here that's underneath the text tool. And when I click on the shape, you notice I get 4 blue anchors. It's called a path. So the path is selected, and when I click on my text tool, I can either apply text to the perimeter of the shape or populate the inside of the shape. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the internet, and I'm going to just Google some sample text. Just so I don't have to type anything. And I'm going to copy and paste the first paragraph of this sample text, well, most of it anyway. Copy, back to Photoshop. Now, like I said before, and this isn't going to apply to this project, but if I wanted to populate the perimeter of this shape, I could click on the edge. You see how the text tool has that like a line through it. I can click there. I'm gonna make my text font a little bit smaller, of course. And if I hit Command V to paste the sample text, you'll see the shape, the text has populated the perimeter of the shape, but we don't want to do that. We want it to be inside. So I'm going to go back to my arrow, click on my shape, go back to the text tool, populate. Hold on one second. Oh, why isn't it doing it? Hold on. I'm going to click on my shape, go back to my text, to my arrow, click inside, Command V. As you can see, the text is inside and has the same shape of the shape. But it's also a separate layer, so I can move it around outside of the shape if I want to. Or I can keep it in there, maybe change the color to white so you can see it better. But that's how you create a text wrap. I'm gonna do the same thing for the smaller rectangle, this one right here. Click here, my text tool, make sure it's inside, Command V, and again, my text stays inside the contour of that shape. And that is how you both manipulate the shapes with the skew transformation and how you apply the clipping mask. I'm sorry, the text wrap and the clipping mask actually to individual shapes. And if we really want to make sure that we got it done correctly, there's a line straight through the middle. I'm going to get my rectangle tool again, and I'm going to make a slightly thinner rectangle in the middle, change the color a little bit so that you can see it. And then I'm going to go back to my image, edit, transform, skew again. I'm going to grab that center anchor again, drag it over here, make sure it's flush with the top. And I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can see. I'm going to take this side anchor here, bring it back to the edge, this anchor back to the top of the edge. Click OK. And now I have that same line that's there. And I can even do the same thing over here, but you guys get the idea. You can even add a little quote there and a giant letter at the top on this side, just to kind of get the same design as this. So that is how you create the text wrap You manipulate the shapes and add the clipping mask to create this sort of design or a design that looks exactly like this layout.